This CASA 4x4 is a work in progress. It's driven by the feedback from the investor panels at the Asian Agricultural Climate Finance Summit held in November 2021. We're grateful to our champions who shared the thinking of the panels about the opportunities and challenges for investors in 4 areas. And we're also grateful to our event partners, Grow Asia. This 4x4 has 4 areas of insights with 4 minutes to answer each point. What are the issues that investors need to explore for action planning on agricultural resilience? You will hear a quick summary of the issues from Jonny Casey, Climate Change Manager at CABI, and then Shuyin Tang from Patamar Capital will share the investor's response.
And the last one is about building resilience and adaptive capacity. So this is absolutely vital for supply chain functioning and avoiding business interruption from climate shocks and stresses. And as the impacts of climate change grow, demand for improved resilience and adaptive capacity will grow too. Climate smart agriculture technologies are a critical component of this, but they're only part of the solution alongside knowledge and better services and climate information services. Adaptation benefits often accrue over longer periods and not always directly to investors. So how can we change the current model so that we can attract greater private investment into building resilience and adaptive capacity?
The first one was really around the point that there are indeed many kind of emerging technologies which are interesting, right? I think some of the cool things that we discussed was using kind of backpacks for cattle to absorb methane, adding seaweed to cattle feed for similar purposes. These are just examples, right, of the types of technologies that are emerging, but how do we actually get channel more investment into this space, right? And I think again it comes back to improving the narrative, the data set, our messaging around the opportunity, right? That can be gained from investing in this particular sector. The second area is around kind of blended finance structures, right, to catalyze more investment into agri-SMEs and companies reaching smallholder farmers. The third one was around technical assistance. It's a solution that has an endpoint, right? But I think in the near term, it is needed to, I think, help investors firstly understand in more detail, like what exactly is the climate risk in their portfolios, right? And I think a lot of investors have some knowledge, right, that there's a risk out there, but have not really, been able to kind of really quantify it or pin it down, right? So there's increased perception of risk, which is maybe hindering them or hampering them from investing more into this sector. There's clearly also the need for technical assistance at the enterprise level and also the farmer level. Another kind of broad idea that we had is, this idea of having, I guess, more endowment / permanent capital or open-ended vehicles to fund different types of activities. I think obviously we all recognize that agricultural and climate change investment is a bit of a long-term game, right? And the traditional kind of 10-year closed-ended fund structures might not necessarily be the best forms to really channel more investment into the space. I think we've seen more creative things recently in terms of different kind of permanent capital or perpetual vehicles being set up. How do we channel that to things such as operational maintenance, right, for farmers? Really important issue, but very underfunded, or other important kind of themes or sectors within the agricultural resilience sector. Point 5. Ultimately the cost or needs to be passed on to consumers, right? Or there needs to be different ways to incentivize farmers to adopt these technologies, which could ultimately be borne by the consumers, similar to fair trade and organic, right? Over time, I think consumers became gradually accustomed with the concept of paying more for those certified types of products. How do we also kind of maybe apply a kind of climate lens, right, to that as well? I think, again, this is back to maybe TA, right, the value of really conducting climate risk assessments to identify both the risks as well as the opportunities for businesses. And I think having that really concrete understanding up front does, I think, kind of motivate and help businesses and investors see clearly the types of things that need to be done, right, to mitigate those risks or capture those opportunities.
The CASA programme is proud to be building partnerships across the world to drive investment for climate-resilient agri-food systems. Visit the events page, past events section, to hear other expert viewpoints shared in the CASA 4x4s and webinar series.